Alright, hello everybody, welcome to the second live website review. This time we're going to be going over the Steam website, store.steampowered.com. And I'm going to be going over it in terms of UI. I'm going to go through a few specific UI elements on this website and how they act responsively. After that, I'm going to cover this website in terms of accessibility and how well it works with a screen reader. So pretty much the first thing you see on this website is there's the featured and recommended slider, which is similar to the one that was on the Epic Games Store in the previous stream. Then you see special offers of things that are on sale right now, because there's always something on sale on Steam. There's this section where you can hover over these to get details on various types of releases, like upcoming, top sellers, new, and a few other sections like that down to the bottom of the site. So I'm going to go to my physical iPad, and we'll take a look at what the mobile version of this website looks like. So this is my real iPad, it's not a simulation. And the first thing I notice is that there's seemingly two menus. You have the hamburger menu at the top left, like you would expect. But then you also have this blue menu, where the top item is just a mysterious down caret, which appears to have a home link and a few other things. And that's a little confusing in terms of context. That even when opening it, I'm not entirely sure what the menu is, other than just to have the home link in it. Ideally, they would put some kind of text next to it the same way that the other things have, like the browse drop-down. I'm not sure why this top one doesn't have any text. Okay, I'm getting an error that YouTube isn't receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I'm just gonna continue on anyway for a few minutes and see if that goes away. So next we have this section, the features and recommended, which is a pretty standard slider. As you would expect, you have next and previous buttons. A funny thing I found about these, if you go like halfway across, or just partially across, it'll stay consistent with that when you click next or previous. I don't think this is a mistake of any kind, it's just kind of interesting. I've never seen a slider work that way before. So then we have these special offers, which has issues on mobile, in my opinion. Particularly with these half-height ones. Sometimes they'll stack into a grid like this, like you would expect, but other times they won't. I feel like ideally, these two would be on top of each other, the Coma and Crash Insane trilogy. Not the biggest deal in the world, but that's something I would look into if I were in charge of this website. This section I'm going to get back to. I have a lot to say about it. But first I want to talk about this bottom section, looking for recommendations with the sign-in, where it's getting cut off. And this was something I was testing with a little bit earlier. And I actually have some insight as to why that's happening. I'm going to switch over to Windows real quick. because this is happening in the Chrome emulator that I like to use as well, where it's getting cut off on the bottom. Alright, that error went away. Hopefully the stream will continue well. I'm going to dim my keyboard here and turn off the Mac icons. So that happens right about 912 pixels or so. So it seems like the container is a set height of some kind. Let's see if that's true. Because this is being caused by the margin top on this container pushing things down, but then not expanding the overall parent container. And yes, I'm correct. That is because the parent is set to a set height, which isn't high enough. And this is happening on the live website across iOS and Android on mobile and tablets. So this is something everybody is seeing right now. And it's a super duper quick fix. Literally all they need to do is find the breakpoint or add a breakpoint, a media query, and add 10 pixels to the height. Home.css line 1200. Or wherever the equivalent would be in their SCSS or whatever they're probably using. That's a pretty easy problem to fix. Next, I want to talk about this section, which I pointed out on the iPad as well. With the new and trending, top sellers, popular, upcoming, and specials. If we go over to a desktop-centric view of this element, you'll see that you'll have details on the side, showing more images, the review scores, a few tags. But as soon as you go to the mobile width, the way that they made this element responsive is they just get rid of that section, so you simply don't have that information anymore. I don't think this is ideal. In responsive design, you want to aim for mobile to have the same functionality as desktop, even though the screen size is so much smaller. And in some cases, you have to redesign the element a little bit on mobile to accommodate. And I can understand where that would be a challenge of how you would make this responsive to not just cut out this much information for users on phones and iPads. If I were on the UI team at Valve, what I would do probably is to add some kind of accordion. Let's see if I can find a quick example. Something like this. That's what an accordion is. So I might quickly mock up just in the browser here what I'm thinking about. So I would add a section at the bottom here. I'm just going to copy this image for an example. Not quite what I was, hold on. Close enough. So the way that I would picture this working in mobile is instead of the section going away when you go to mobile. It would turn into an accordion where clicking on these would open up some kind of a drop down. Where you click on it, and then it'll open up a panel below it where you could have all of the images that it would show. And I think that'd be a very intuitive way to keep all of the same information there for mobile users as well. Because that's ultimately the goal of responsive design. It's somewhat of a compromise when you have to get rid of information for mobile users. And it also shows that they probably did not design this website from a mobile-first perspective. Which it's up to opinion on if that's better or not. There's a lot of people that argue that's how you should design websites. But either way, I do think this is something they should adjust for mobile users to be sure that you're getting all of the same information on mobile as desktop, because there's no reason why somebody wouldn't use their phone or their tablet to purchase a game on Steam to play later. All right, so next, I think I'm going to move on. There's a Chrome plugin I forgot to install, but I can do that real quickly. Or Chrome. A plugin called Wave. Just going to add this to Chrome real quick. And this is going to monitor the site for a lot of things that have to do with web accessibility. And we're going to go item by item and see if Steam has any errors that are worth looking at. Okay, so we're getting 136 missing alternative text errors. More alternative text errors, alternative text. I have a feeling that's going to be the trend on this website. Some contrast errors. I'm not going to worry about the alerts or anything like that. I'll turn those off. Okay, let's see what they're complaining about with missing alternative text. It looks like pretty much every single image on this entire web page is going to have this issue. Yes, that does seem to be an issue. So alternative text is important because visually impaired users will rely on that to know what the image is. Or people using a screen reader, which we're going to see later because I'm going to go through this website with a screen reader after this. And I do believe that this website would fail to validate on this basis. I believe you have to have alt text. Yes, it looks like it is required. An image element that doesn't have an alt tag is not valid. This is actually a legitimate mistake from the looks of it. So what would they add here? The rules regarding what alt text should be are not necessarily set in stone. I would probably approach this by saying image of, and then I would pull in the game title. So, image of, what is this? The coma. And this would be valid. That's literally all it would take. I think they're using React.js or something like that to build this website. Probably there's some kind of a loop that's being used to generate this content, where they could pull in the data for the title from the same place that they're pulling in the sale price and all of that information. They could pull in the title from the same area, have an alt tag where they just have that right there. And that should be enough to fix the issue across all of these elements, and really across the entire site. And this is something they should do. This is a big accessibility issue. And of course, the fact that this website will almost certainly not pass the W3C validator at all because of this. So beyond that, more alternative text. Then we're getting some low contrast, which I think it's complaining about this green sale price thing here. Because the text is kind of green as well as the background. You're not going to be getting a lot of good contrast. There's a tool I used to have bookmarked. Let's see if I can find it again. Yeah, I think it's this, where you can compare a background and a foreground color, and it'll tell you if it's good enough. So let me go back to where that was. How convenient. The colors are just right there. So the foreground color is that. Because I'm lazy, I'm going to convert this to hexadecimal through Google, which I thought Google could do that. I could be wrong. There it is. So the hex, that was the foreground. Yeah. And the background color. All right, it looks like it doesn't like this at all. So the idea is you want to at least achieve WCAG AA. That's kind of the base of making sure that everybody is going to be able to read this. And a thing that can help is to make the text bold. But even then it fails. So what would it take? Okay, so making the background darker will help. It looks like it really would be as easy as that. Ideally, they'd want to achieve AAA. Achieving AA is good enough, as far as I know. I might not be the final authority on that. I would consider achieving AA to at least minimally be okay. And it would really be as easy as changing the green background to be darker, or the foreground to be a little bit lighter. And to have a little bit more flexibility, they could make the text bigger and more bold as well, and that would help. And that might be enough to fix the contrast error that we see there. Let's head on to a product page. I might look for an indie game so I don't get copyright stricken here. I've kind of been testing with this one because it doesn't have mature content and it's not owned by a huge corporation as far as I know. So let's try the Wave plugin on a store page and see what comes up. Missing alt text. Linked image missing alt text. Image missing alt text. Form label empty link. Let's clear away all the other things. Or actually, on the topic of contrast, I'm going to cover that first. So it looks like it doesn't like the gray text on this dark background. And that would be fixed the same way. I'm sure if that they would make this gray text about the same color as this text here, it would have the same effect. But it's kind of a more sleek, modern design to have things be vague and hard to see. So I guess that's the trade-off. If it looks nicer versus it doesn't pass accessibility guidelines. And arguably it doesn't look nicer. Personally, I would actually prefer, like as a non-vision impaired user in any way, even I would prefer this to just be brighter. I literally don't understand this trend at all. So I think missing alt text, we get the idea. Empty link. So it doesn't like the flag. Okay, this is something that actually came up on the last review as well for the Epic Games Store. On the Epic Games Store, they had the issue where their wishlist heart buttons had an error where it would complain about being an empty link, and that's because if you have an A tag that's a link, you're supposed to have actual text inside of it. And that's important because that's what screen readers will look for to give context of what the button is. And we'll see this later as well. I'm going to make a point to go over this section to show what's going to happen. Now, obviously, with the design of this element, there isn't supposed to be text. It's just supposed to be a flag. But there is a way around that. And I can actually show my own website to demonstrate that. Where I have the social icons. And a class of visibility hidden. Now this is different from display none, because display none will actually hide it from a screen reader too. But if you do something fancy like this, which there are actually better CSS methods than position absolute and lefting a whole bunch, I might update my site later with a more modern solution to that. But this is the general idea. You want the text to exist on the page in a way where the screen reader will see it, and it will exist to satisfy that requirement of the A tag having real text inside of it. But it's not going to mess up the design I was going for of just having the icons. So in cases like this, that's what they should do. They should have a text label that explains what this does. That it's to flag something. Or report it, or honestly, I don't even completely know what that does. As a fully sighted user, I actually would kind of appreciate a label on that that's visible. But as long as they made the decision not to have a visible label on it, they should do that trick of having text inside of it to satisfy this requirement, but just using some fancy CSS to hide it in a way that doesn't use display none or a way that would hide it from screen readers. That's the solution there. And we also had missing form labels. Right, so when you have an input, you're supposed to have a label tag associated with it. And they're not doing that here. I would need to do a little bit of research, because I'm not certain off the top of my head if the solution of having the label existing but hiding it is a good solution in this case. So off the top of my head, I don't have an immediate solution for fixing this issue, but that's probably along the lines of where I would start to research this if this came up. All right, so that about covers it in terms of overall accessibility. Next, I'm going to be covering the site with a screen reader. My screen reader of choice is called NVDA. There's 3 major screen readers that take up most of the market. The first one is a screen reader called JAWS. That one costs a lot of money. It's like $1,000+ for a perpetual license, and they don't have a free version as far as I'm aware that I'd be able to show in a stream like this. The second most common one is the one I'm going to be showing called NVDA, which is totally free. And then there's a third most popular one, which is VoiceOver on macOS, which I'll be covering at some point, but in this video I'm just going to be covering NVDA. So I'm going to be going through this site the way that a vision impaired user or a non-sighted user would be, where they're relying on a screen reader. And I'm going to be navigating the site with my keyboard, mostly using the up and down arrow and tab. So I'm going to undim my keyboard overlay and turn on NVDA. Uh-oh, am I? Okay, there we go.
2:39 p.m. Welcome to Steam. Google Chrome. Welcome to Steam. Link store.
So the idea of the screen reader is right on page load, it's going to mostly read out just all of the page content to you. It's going to start with like welcome to Steam in the tab here, and then it's going to go down through all the content until you interact with it. So I was able to make it stop talking just by pressing down and going to the first element, which is not exactly where one would expect the first element on a page to be.
Link community. Link support. Link community. Link store.
I would have expected the first element that the screen reader would care about would be either the Steam logo in the center there, or the hamburger menu on the top left. But it appears that it's looking at something that is off screen. I did look at this for like a minute. I'm going to turn NVDA off just for 1 second. What I think is happening actually, hold on, let me refresh. Is that hamburger menu supposed to be there on desktop? I could have sworn this site was a little bit different just the other day. Hold on 1 second. I'm getting a completely different thing on my main desktop. Okay, hold on. I'm going to be showing this on a different computer for 1 second. Okay, so I switched over to a different Windows computer, the computer that I'm using to stream. This is the Steam page I was expecting to see, where it doesn't start with a hamburger menu. And I believe I was having a similar issue, but let's see, I might have just been confused.
Chrome Legacy window. Welcome to Steam. Link store.
Yes, as I thought, it's happening here too.
Link store.
Just for quick reference, I generally don't like using my streaming computer to use a screen reader because the screen reader uses so many resources while I'm streaming that it actually gets in the way of the stream. I had some technical issues with that last week. I'm crossing my fingers that that won't happen again because I'm going to be showing the screen reader on my streaming computer for the time being. But yes, it appears the first element on the page, instead of being the logo or the main top menu or somewhere around there that you would expect, appears to be something that is off screen while you're using desktop, but that exists well enough that a screen reader thinks it's the first thing.
Welcome.
And what I was getting at earlier is I think it might be picking up on this, on the slide out menu, because it appears that it still exists after it finishes sliding out. Let's see. Trying to find the exact CSS that makes it go away. Right, so that would be the issue, I think. As far as I can tell, they're not doing anything that actually makes the menu go away for real. They basically just hide it outside of the viewport and make it so there isn't going to be any overflow with like a scrolling thing bar on the bottom like you have on the side. And that's not ideal, at least in desktop, because this isn't supposed to exist in the desktop view. At least for the most part. It apparently was existing in the desktop view on my other computer. It might depend on the screen size. But in the desktop view that most people are going to experience of Steam, this doesn't exist for them. And unless they made their screen small like me, it wouldn't. I would fix this by adding a media query that targets the parent class of this entire slider if the viewport is larger than a certain width. And it would do display none, so it would hide it from screen readers as well, because this isn't supposed to exist in any way, shape, or form on desktop. So with that said, I believe I can switch back to my main Windows computer here that won't be conflicting with my stream, now that that point is made. I might try to figure out why exactly Steam is showing this here, because I'm pretty sure oh, I think that's because I'm at 768p instead of 1080. I can actually test with that real quick, and that would solve that. So yeah, even at 1080p, they have some kind of way to show a semi-mobile version of the website to this Windows computer, but not to my other Windows computer. That's kind of mind-blown right now. I literally don't know how they're doing this. I might need to look into that and add an update to my next stream explaining how they might have accomplished this, because I literally have no ideas. Either way, I don't think anything else is going to get in the way of the rest of this at this point, so I'm just going to continue.
Welcome to Steam Google Chrome. Welcome to Steam. Visited link store. Link wish link visited link clickable copyright the US and other clickable.
That's what I thought was going to be the first element, at least on this weird semi-mobile version of the website.
Link graphic Steam. Clickable.
I would add context that this is a hamburger menu, because my screen reader doesn't seem to be able to understand that. If I just heard clickable, I wouldn't know what that does. I would never assume that that's a menu. Nonetheless, the same menu that you're at if you just go a few up anyway, so
Clickable.
I don't know.
Link graphic Steam.
They did put alt text on this Steam logo, so that's good. They should add alt text to all the rest of the images too next. All of the other hundreds of images that render on any given page of this website that don't have much needed alt text.
Link unlabeled graphic Steam cards promo 02.
Speaking of, that's what happens if you don't add alt text. It's just going to speak out what the file name is, which doesn't necessarily make sense.
Link unlabeled graphic Steam cards promo 02.
Like, I guess this is good enough that you would understand it has to do with Steam cards. Ideally, you would add the context that it has to do with gift cards. It's totally possible that someone visiting the site might not know that they sell gift cards. I would rename the photo to not have the O2 at the end. And of course, again, add alt text. That's necessary.
Gift cards. Link now available on Steam. Link recommended. Link by friends. Out of link. Link by curators. Link tags. Discovery queues. Link recommended. Link browse categories. Link.
Right, I don't have any issue with any of this stuff. I'm just gonna move to the next section.
Link race. Links. Link calico. Link your store. Link browse. Link your store.
Right, so this is something I was briefly looking at too prior to starting the stream. If you hover over these,
Your store.
These are a drop down that shows additional links.
Link browse. Link your store.
But when navigating just with the keyboard the way that a large portion of screen reader users would, I don't see that there's a way to access these.
Link browse. Link your store. Browse link. Your store link. Browse link.
Because if I click enter on this, it doesn't open the drop down.
Link browse.
Instead, it takes me to the browse page, or the games page, I suppose.
Link store. Link community. Steam graphic link. Link 39. Link the 4. Search. Link your store.
This is a bit of a complicated problem, but the way that I've solved this in the past is to add JavaScript to expect a tab over.
Browse visited link.
Or a backwards tab, so either doing tab or shift tab. And if it detects that, it would treat it as if it's a hover, where it would open the drop-down and let you access everything inside of it. And then upon reaching the end of the drop-down, it would close it and then go on to browse. And that would allow you to access all of the inner menu items, even if you're not using a mouse, which is important for more than screen reader users. There are plenty of people that, if they have carpal tunnel syndrome, if they've had injuries that would stop them from using both of their hands for a mouse, websites are supposed to be accessible just with a keyboard as well. A mouse shouldn't be a requirement for navigating what's essentially just an eShop website to purchase items. And I do consider it to be somewhat of an accessibility issue that two of the main menu items are not accessible unless you have a mouse to explicitly hover over these items on. And adding code to expect tab or to expect the item to be active in some way
Visited link browse.
is the approach that I would take to fix this. That is something I've done before that works. I've read articles from other developers where that's what they've done too. There might be other solutions as well that you can find through looking at Stack Overflow, but that is something I would look into fixing.
Links, clickable search, link unlabeled graphic blank. Search the store edit. Link unlabeled graphic blank.
Once again with the labels, I get the impression nobody ever went through this website with a screen reader. Because at least when I went through the Epic Games Store, there were components that led me to believe that they did some testing with the screen reader. I'm not so sure that they did with this website, which they might want to look into. I'm not a lawyer, but I am aware of some big companies that have gotten sued with issues like this on their e-commerce websites. The biggest one that comes to mind is Domino's. They got sued for millions, I believe, because you weren't able to order a pizza from their website through a screen reader like NVDA. And that turned into a huge lawsuit that turned into a very big deal. And it would have been far, far, far cheaper for them to just hire an accessibility developer or a firm that specializes in this to fix it from the get-go if they didn't have the internal talent or the time to do it themselves. Accessibility is becoming popular in video games right now. The Game Awards recently added an entire section for accessibility. The Last of Us 2, as far as I know, is completable from start to finish with a screen reader that would work somewhat similarly to NVDA. Obviously, it's not NVDA, but the idea is that you'd get enough context from what the screen reader is telling you that you could complete the entire game. So there isn't really an argument that video games aren't for blind or visually impaired users either, because they absolutely are these days. And with the rising popularity of accessibility in video games these days, and having better accessibility settings, I would worry that Valve is going to face a lawsuit one day when a screen reader user tries to go through their website the way that I am, and has no context as to what literally anything on the website is. They might avoid a lawsuit because maybe it's just good enough that you can make a purchase. But if I were Valve, I would definitely hire someone to look into this as soon as they possibly could, because this is definitely lawsuit territory. Anyway, let's move on to the next element, now that that little rant is over.
Heading level 2 featured and recommended. Link Sea of Thieves. Link now, link top, link the forest. Link top seller, link 19, link the forest, link now, link Sea of Thieves.
Okay, so I'm going to compliment Valve on something right here. I don't know if this was on purpose, but they fixed the big issue that I had with the slider from the Epic Game Store website. Because Epic Game Store has a very similar slider to this. That's one of the first elements on the page. And it was extremely difficult to navigate through. Like, I'm going to pause NVDA just to go over it. Right, so here's their equivalent. Why is that? Go away. Okay, so here's their equivalent, where you have the main items on the side and the details are on the left. There were some features of this that were nice. If you did manage to tab into an inner element, the slider would see that an inner element was active or hovered over the way it is right now, and not go on to the next tab. So if you managed somehow, through some stroke of luck, to navigate just with the keyboard into one of these items, it wouldn't go to the next one. It would actually let you decide if you wanted to click the buy button or the play free now button or whatever. The issue was that the screen reader would go from the search onto these items on the side and wouldn't want to go into the inner items. The only way that I figured out to accomplish getting into the inner items with a keyboard was literally to shift tab to go back up and then to go back in again. And you could get into these sometimes. And even then, let's say that you were hovering over the buy now button on Super Meat Boy Forever, but then you decided you wanted to add it to your wish list instead. The moment you clicked tab again, it would go to the next game, and then you'd be on the wish list item for Cyberpunk. The reason I bring this up is because the equivalent slider on Steam does not do this. I'm going to open up NVDA again to demonstrate.
Welcome to Steam. Google links.
Let's get back to where we were real quick.
Heading level 2 link Sea of Thieves.
Right, so you see how it said link Sea of Thieves, and not Stardew Valley or Phasmophobia or whatever the current game was. Sea of Thieves is the first one.
Link the 4, link 9, link Rust.
So that means they built this in a way to where you can navigate them regardless of what item the slider is on, where the website doesn't actually care. All of the content is there ready for a screen reader to access, and the non-sighted user wouldn't even need to worry about the fact that it's a slider or a carousel. It would just work. This is excellent. This is the way that you should build something like this. The Epic Game Store should take notes. This is how you do it. Which is hilarious because I've pretty much just been trashing on the Steam website this entire stream so far. But this element is absolutely fantastic. This is the way that you should build something like this. I just wish everything else on the Steam website was as accessible as this carousel.
Link Counter-Strike. Global. Link. Clickable. Clickable. Heading level 2 special offers. Link browse more. Link graphic number spotlight weekend deal. Heading level offer -40 24 link graphic number spotlight weekend deal.
Alright, so time to get back to my issues. Earlier in the stream, we looked at the Wave plugin for Chrome that showed that very few of the images had alt text. And this is why it matters, because when you're in a screen reader and you're going over these images, it won't have any context for what they are.
Heading link graphic number spotlight weekend deal. 24 link graphic number spotlight weekend deal.
So I know that due process is one of the weekend deals, but if I was a non-sighted user, I wouldn't know that it was due process. I wouldn't know what game that this was.
Document, Elements panel prop, select an number, welcome to Elements panel property page, page DOM tree view.
Yep, and as I wait, no, they do have alt text, it's just terrible alt text. Okay, so technically, they fulfill the requirement here of having alt text in an image. But the alt text is literally the worst thing they could have possibly put, and it's so bad that it might actually be worse than having none. Arguably. Because if they had none, it would just read off the image file name, but looking at the image file name is also not saying what the game is. So this is kind of a double whammy of please don't do this. So first of all, the image name sucks. They should rename the image to be what the game is, or have some kind of a process to auto-name the image before it gets uploaded to their Cloudflare CDN or whatever. Second of all, the alt text needs to take over for that because you shouldn't force a screen reader to fall back onto what the image file name is. So this is kind of two issues in one right here, where the file name is bad and the alt text is bad. And the file name and alt text are so bad that it's almost worse than not having them at all. So unfortunately, the special offer section is completely inaccessible and basically useless if you're with a screen reader.
Blank. Caps lock on.
Oops. My screen reader has stopped talking. Let's see if I could refresh the page. I was not quite done yet.
Welcome to Steam.
What did I must have accidentally pressed something. Let me restart the...
Exit oh.
I'm still learning this too. I've only been using NVDA for a few weeks.
Caps lock off. Help tools. Welcome to Steam Goop.
Uh-oh, looks like I broke it. What did I do?
New tab Goop V. Caps V A.
Oh, maybe I just...
Welcome to Steam document. Link support.
I fixed it. All right, problem solved. I'll figure out whatever that was about later. Let's get back to where we were.
Link $39.99. Link $13.09. Link graphic heading off -33%. Link live minus link minus link minus link $15.99.
Is this just me, or is it just restarting to the first element in this section when I...
Link minus 72%. Link 190.
Oh, no, never mind. This, I think, is just going to the other games in the slider now, which is a good thing.
Special new Valve index banner unlabeled graphic Valve clickable link unlabeled graphic Valve index banner.
Alright, so it's unlabeled, but it did have enough context to at least tell me what it was about.
Elements panel property page. Page DOM tree view. Level 9 less. Welcome to Steam document.
So this one got saved by the image file name being good enough to explain what this is. Nice hover effect. Unfortunately, the hover effect doesn't have much use for screen reader users, so the file name having that is extraneous information. Yada yada yada, they should add alt tags to everything.
Link heading level 2, link new releases link heading level 2 link browse, link new special free games link by user heading level 2 link browse all popular link $24.09 link 9 link $19.99 link $19 link 9 link browse all link link $24.99.
I'm unable to see what the popular VR games are as well.
Link $19.99. Link 59. Free to play nerds. Online solitaire. Link nerd. $19.99. Link solid. Link free to link nerds. Online. Link solitaire. Casual. Multiplayer. Link visited link Calico.
See, is there anything else on this page I really want to talk about? I think I'm about done with this page. We're going to head back to this game here to see what a store page is like. Okay, and I did forget to bring this up before,
15.
but I brought this up on the Epic Game Store website, and it's quite literally twice as bad here. Do not do auto-playing videos. Auto-playing videos are always bad. They're always an accessibility issue, especially for screen readers, because you're not just using up the bandwidth of streaming one video, you're using up the bandwidth of streaming two videos. And for mobile users, that can cost them real money if they're using 4G or 5G. On top of the fact that it uses resources. That on weaker computers, streaming videos uses enough CPU power to actually lag websites. And especially on phones and older phones. And I'm going to transfer back to the MacBook real quick just to look at if this happens on a physical iPad. I believe it does, but I want to be 100% sure. Right, so I still have the QuickTime thing, and... Right, so I'm on my real iPad. I'm going to go to... Just because I know it has them, I'm going to click on this game again. And yes, it autoplays two videos, even though one of them is actually outside of my default viewport on an iPad. Don't do this, please. Please, please, please. This is always bad. It's kind of like with intrusive pop-ups. This is the kind of thing that corporate overlords are going to insist upon, that know nothing about web accessibility and don't care about it unless they're about to get sued. And this isn't the kind of thing, as far as I know, because I'm not a lawyer, that you'd get sued over. I don't think that it would be an issue that big. But this is not good practice. This is always bad. There's never a good reason to do this ever for any reason. And Epic Game Store did it with one video, but this does it on two, even on mobile devices where the main video isn't going to be in the viewport on page load. It's literally going to be playing a video that you cannot see, using bandwidth, using resources. Don't do that.
Copyright Valve Corp. Clickable 38 hours 45. Clickable 15.
If you're going to have the videos, they should start not played and have a clear and obvious play button if you want to see them. Because I'm just going to say one more thing. As a sighted user that's been using Steam for an extremely long time, it is like a hardwired habit into my brain to immediately click onto one of the images as soon as I go onto a store page, and I'm sure very many of you watching that use Steam do this as well. Just because the auto-playing videos are so annoying. I hate them that much. And they really are that big of an issue for accessibility and users that don't have powerful computers or that have old phones. Alright, moving on.
Click 200 link rebuild the town's cat filling it with cute again. Clickable all reviews. Very released December 15th. Developer link Peachy publisher.
And I just want to make clear, I'm not bashing the game or the developers here in any way. This is not their fault. This is an issue that the corporate overlords at Valve have to instruct their developers to do, who probably didn't want to build this anyway, so I'm not even going off on the developers here. If they're like most developers, they probably understand these things too, that that's an issue, and they were told to do it, and it's their job, and that's that. Hopefully, the corporate overlords at Valve will have mercy on people with weaker computers, and will one day decide that it's not worth doing that.
Link white, click a popular user, link casual, link indie, clickable. Clickable. Clickable.
Yeah, the video player just saying clickable on a bunch of these things is an issue. Obviously, a non-sighted user won't want to watch the videos, which is one more reason not to have auto-playing videos ever, if I can drill that in just a little bit more. But the video player should still be accessible to them and give clear instructions of what everything is doing. Because they might want to play the video to listen to the audio, for instance. But if everything just says clickable, then the most that they can really do is just skip all the way past the element and move on.
20. Click. Link sign in to add this item to your wish list. Is this game relevant to you? Sign in to see reasons why you may or may not like this based on your games. You follow blank. Link sign in or link open. Link unlabeled graphic ICO single player.
More unlabeled graphics.
Link single. Link unlabeled. Link languages. Table with 3 rows and 4. Interface column 2. Column 1.
A table.
Row 2. Row 1. Interface.
Which actually works. Okay, so last week when I reviewed the Epic Game Store, they have a table on their website for system recommendations, recommended specs, and suggested specs. They use a table element. The table element on the Epic Game Store did not work properly because the solution that I found through my troubleshooting was that they didn't correctly label the headers. Once again, I'm going to quickly close NVDA to take a look. Same game just for consistency. Pausing the auto-playing video just for consistency. This, I'm talking about this. Maybe they saw my stream and fixed it. Let's see. They did not. Right, so these are supposed to be table headers or TH elements. And I demonstrated in a separate CodePen instance where I was playing around with the code and kind of building my own version of their table, that changing this to TH would fix the issue, and screen readers would then be able to treat this like a normal table you could navigate. Whereas for this would always go left to right, top to bottom, and you could not navigate straight down if you just wanted to know the minimum specs. Valve added a table here that they built correctly, as far as I can tell. Yes, they built this correctly. They're actually using TH elements. And that's why, when I go over this with the screen reader, I can navigate the table more than just left to right, top to bottom.
Visited link. Changed. Full subtitles in column 1.
So in NVDA, if you hold down Control and Alt,
Row 2 English, Row 3 Simplified Chinese.
You can navigate through the table, and it'll even tell you what row it's in.
Interface column 2 interface. Row 2 check. Row 3 check. Row 1 interface.
But you need those TH elements, otherwise NVDA won't have enough to work with to know what the heck's going on. So good on Valve for actually building a proper table the way you're supposed to. Hopefully Epic Game Store can get around to fixing that on their website.
Out of table include link alt title, calico, graphic helping hand, graphic take flight.
Okay, so these they do actually add alt text to, or at least enough that the screen reader can see what's going on.
Link title, genre, developer, link publish, release date blank, link calico magic art. Link read.
Alright, earlier I said I would take a look at that flag icon with a screen reader. Let's see what happens.
Link share link embed link.
As I expected, because there is no text inside of that link, all that the screen reader has to go off of is that it is a link. And again, the fix for that is that you should add actual text inside of your A tags the same way that the other two do, where you have share and embed. In this case, they should actually add the text flag, or whatever it is in there. Wrap it around a span with the class visibility none, or something like that. And look up CSS that will hide it for sighted users, but not for screen readers. That's how you make this accessible. That's the proper way you're supposed to do that. That's something I've seen many websites built by developers much more experienced than I am solve this issue. And then instead of saying link, the screen reader will say link flag link or something.
Embed link.
But right now, for a screen reader user, I have absolutely no idea what this does.
55. Metacritic. Link heading level 1, $11. Heading level 1, $11. Add to cart link. Heading level 1 by capsule SM120T equals 160-990-5359 unlabeled graphic link.
I'm gonna guess that that's the image file name.
Document. Select an by this button. Calico elements.
Yeah.
Property page. Page DOM tree view.
I've talked about alt text enough. You guys get the idea.
Link bundle. Your 80. Link add to clickable heading level 2. Link view all. Link now playable. Link Friday. Link heading level 2 about Calico is. Link Calico 1. Link where the player is added cafe notifications that link Calico 1.
Wait.
Link where the player is added link Calico 1.03 feature updates added player direction indicator to map and made it easier to see. Link Calico 1.03.
Okay, I guess that they do render the events and announcements even before you actually. Oh, it's because it hovers. Okay, I don't have a problem with that.
Link Thursday heading level 2 about this game. Calico is a heading level 2 about this game. Calico is a day rebuild filling it with again blank. The Calico, the World game, blank.
Okay, I was just deciding to read more, but a non-sighted user can still access all of this content, so it's good that they do render the entire content even before you press read more. Because there are some websites, namely those annoying news websites that make you pay after you read 3 articles that won't do that, but they built this correctly.
Blank. The player will add them to follow blank cafe blank. You're bringing it blank.
Or did they? Why is it saying
Follow
blank
you
that
everywhere
much?
You go and listen to your play with any customer blank.
Or did they build this correctly? What is up with that? They're not adding a bunch of like random BR tags, are they?
Cafe decorate. The player Calico.
Oh my goodness. Whew.
51 level 13.
Okay, I'm a little taken back here. I didn't expect that. Does every game do that?
Notifications.
I'm gonna pause NVDA again just to take a look on if that's every game or if that's just this one. I don't know. I'm gonna risk. I don't know. I don't want to go to an M-rated game. I'm worried about YouTube not liking that. Alright, let's see. Does Terraria do that? Okay, so it looks like that really is just the formatting of how this is. This isn't good. You're not supposed to just layer BR tag after BR tag to have spacing, because that's basically what these do. These add empty space. Ideally, they would have P tags, or paragraph tags, for each one of these, and add CSS to have the paragraph tag have enough spacing around it so it would look good. Instead, they don't add a tag at all. These directly belong to a div, and they're separated by BR tags for some reason. Like, this would validate, I think. Yes, you can do that. So it's valid. They didn't technically do anything wrong. This is just a very strange way of doing it that does affect screen reader readability when actually going down and reading this content, because it's going to pick up on those BR tags. If they really wanted to keep those BR tags, they could do like an ARIA label hidden, maybe? That would be super weird. The way to fix this is to get rid of the BR tags and surround this text in paragraph tags. There's absolutely no reason not to do that. On top of the fact that I'm sure this text has to be inconsistent with the rest of the text, assuming that their CSS has any style that targets a P tag, they'd either be duplicating styles to make it work if it's a direct, like if it's directly inside of a div the way that it is, or it's not consistent with the rest of the text. It's one or the other. So this, I don't know, this is weird. I don't think they should have done it this way. Surround text in P tags, and don't litter BR tags everywhere. That's in the realm of cheap page builder websites. That shouldn't be something that's done on a bespoke web application like this.
The player will encounter your blank. We wanted there. Your tag. We want blank.
Because like literally, I'm just going up and down and reading text, and it's like blank.
We want exam. You clickable Mac. Clickable Windows. Clickable Mac. Clickable list with processor 2 GHz.
Alright, I don't really have any problems with this.
Out of list out of heading level link heading level 4. We wanted there to be language. Link heading level 4.
Curious how the review section fares.
Link repurchase type filters click most helpful reviews in the past 7 days. Link unlabeled graphic
I hope nobody swears. I don't want to be,
one,
you know,
link
unlisted on YouTube for
link
that.
posted from my 5-year-old daughter. Blank. The game is wonderful. Blank.
Okay, they're doing that here too, aren't they?
Document. Select. The game is Calico on elements / expanded.
Well, I guess that's the decision that they made for this website, that a lot of the text is directly inside of a div and not paragraph text. Is any text in paragraph text? Is that just not something they do on this website?
Panel proper reviews that match.
Now I'm curious, how are they even doing this?
Open. Okay. Calico.
I'm not seeing anything else I'm terribly interested in using the screen reader on, so as one final thing on this website before I close the stream down, I'm just going to see if they use p tags anywhere on the website, because now that I'm looking at it, I'm not so sure that they do. That's directly inside of a div? I don't know, that's not how I would have chose to build this. I can't believe I didn't notice this until now. I genuinely don't think that they use paragraph tags anywhere on this website at all. And in all of the websites I've worked on in my life, I've never seen this before. I've never come across a website that genuinely did not use... Okay, so they use it once. They at least use it once down here. I can dim my keyboard so I can see this area a bit better. But it looks like they just don't use p tags anywhere. I'm going to scan through a few more pages because I've never seen this before. I mean, the Epic Game Store used p tags, right? Unless they don't, and I didn't notice that either. I'm at least going to click on a not M-rated game and see. Huh. Okay, so you learn new things every day. There must be a legitimate reason to abandon the p tag. I don't know, I'm going to Google into that later. That's interesting. And I'm going to take a sneak preview on what my next week's website was going to be. I was going to wrap up this series of websites by doing another big video game website, GOG. Does GOG use p tags anywhere? This is fascinating to me. I'm legitimately fascinated to find out if it's just some kind of a new trend to not use paragraph tags anymore. Go away, virus protection. I don't care. Alright, let's find a game that has more than one paragraph. With Calico in this site too, just for Nope, I'll have to find another game. I want to find a game that has more than one paragraph here to see if they're just using b tags. Or BR tags, I mean, not bold. Okay, it looks like GOG's format is to have one paragraph and then list items. Okay, so they use p tags a little bit, like for this section. What about reviews? They use one p tag. Which I'm actually a little interested to see how that formatting is working, if it's all just one p tag. And what's also interesting is that the read more text doesn't exist until you actually click on it. So GOG does use p tags regularly, but not in the way that I would have expected them to. What about on the about pages? Okay, so they do make some use. Let's see if Steam uses these, like, even on these kind of pages. Okay, so Steam chooses not to use p tags basically at all anywhere. GOG uses them sometimes, but not all the time. And Epic Games uses div tags as if they're p tags. Let me just go back to look at one more game on Steam. I'm going to move on real quickly, but I'm fascinated because I've never seen this before. How do they do it again? So Steam has one master div tag for the whole element and adds spacing with BR tags. Epic Games uses the div as if it's a p tag, which I'm not sure that I like. I don't understand what the downside would have been with just having this been a paragraph tag. And GOG uses p tags sometimes, but other times they don't. That's something I'll need to do some research into to see what the rationale is behind that, because that's not something I've ever seen before in any website I've ever worked on. Alright, so I think that's all of the big stuff I wanted to go over, so I'm just going to recap. In terms of accessibility, I would say the number one issue is that very few of the images on an extremely image-heavy website have alt text. And that's a big enough deal that will not validate in the W3C validator as far as I know. It is technically an invalid image element if it does not have alt text. Every image should always have alt text. There are ways of auto-generating it, especially in like web application websites like this. Sometimes the image file name is good enough to kind of give an idea, but you shouldn't have to rely on that. Every image has to have alt text. The slider was surprisingly good. This is the way you should build a slider, and these worked the same way, where everything exists and a screen reader user won't need to worry about what the active slide is or anything like that, the way that they do on the Epic Games Store website. I don't know if it was built that way on purpose to accommodate screen readers, but it's built exceptionally well. It's probably the best element on the entire website. And when I build anything like this, I might actually head back to this website to reference how they did this, because it's just that good. So this is super 2 thumbs up. You guys did an excellent, fantastic job on this one thing. This element could be more responsive by adding an accordion, where instead of going to the game when you click on this, it would kind of have like a drop-down accordion with the details that would be here. And that would be a way to keep it consistent between mobile and desktop, because you're not supposed to have less functionality on phones than desktop. If it's at all possible, you're supposed to strive to have all of the same functionality either way. Oh yes, and they can fix this by simply making the set height higher at certain media queries, so that it doesn't clip outside. On an actual game page, they would be well advised to not have auto-playing videos, at least to have mercy for the poor mobile users, where the second auto-playing video isn't even going to be in their viewport when they load the page. Nonetheless, it takes up resources and bandwidth. There's just no reason to do this. It's bad. It's wrong. Corporate overlords of Steam, please have mercy on your users. And that's pretty much it. I think that is a good summary of this website. So in many ways, this is better than the Epic Game Store website. In many ways, it's actually not as good. I hope that they've consulted lawyers on if this is accessible enough to avoid a lawsuit similar to what Domino's Pizza went through some years ago. I guess as long as they can make a purchase, it might be good enough. Maybe. I would be a little bit on edge if I were them with this website and how it works with a screen reader. In my opinion, it's not good enough. Especially because accessibility is becoming a big deal in games. There's games coming out now, big AAA games like The Last of Us Part 2, that are playable even if you're blind. And the website you purchase these games through should work as well for people who are blind. And unfortunately, I have to say this website barely functions if you're blind or visually impaired. But thanks everybody for watching, for sticking through the whole way. As I said, next week I'm going to be covering GOG and comparing it to the Epic Game Store website and Steam. And I'm going to be covering it in all of the same details, covering elements, how they deal with responsive design. I'll be testing it on my actual iPad and in simulations as well. I'll be going over it with the Wave plugin and with the NVDA screen reader. And we'll see how GOG stacks up against the other two in that way. So, thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you have an excellent day.